Good morning, everyone. This is Steve. Welcome to this edition of Monday Morning Musings, where we are talking about the run-up, the lead-up to the Bar Kokhba revolt. Now, chronology gets really interesting, tight, and concise here, and it's important. The years from 66 to 70 A.D., right in the middle of the apostolic era, where the church is trying to establish itself. The apostles are still alive. The church is trying to spread the gospel. There could not have been a more unstable time politically, socially, culturally, and particularly in regard to the issue of violence. So it gives us again an appreciation for the background of the template, the palette upon which the apostles were trying to do their work, how challenging and how otherworldly the gospel message was, and how hopeful and how it would have been well received by many because of the element of relief, even the expectation of the early, like say, Thessalonican expectation of the return of the Lord would be such a welcome message just to stop the chaos. Just try to imagine waking up every morning to, if you're going to be dead or alive. So from 66 to 70, here's what's going on. I left you with the battle at Bet Haran, where the Jews beat the Romans. They think that, hey, this is a great messianic moment. And so a lot of Jews from all over the spectrum gather, we're going to take on Rome. But as is so common and so mimetic, that there were two factions. That initial gathering against a common enemy degenerated into zealots versus moderates. As I mentioned earlier, the zealots had control of the Temple Mount. Told you about the moderates trying to come in, the zealots kill them all. And in 67 or so, 68, the moderates are saying, nah, we got to get rid of these lunatics who are in control of really not only the Temple Mount, but Jerusalem itself. The zealots are running the show at about 67. The moderates make a move to take control of the city. The zealots hired 20,000 Idumean mercenaries, wiped out most of the moderates, wiped out all of their leadership, and maintained control of the Temple Mount. Now remember, this is Jew killing Jew. Naive, oversimplified Christian history always wants to present the other, the horrible Roman, as the enemy against this wonderful people of God. They were killing each other by the thousands. Well, that interchange between the zealots and the moderates was the trigger for the destruction of the temple. Nero was emperor at the time. He has had it with them, had it with Judea. They're nothing but trouble. Even when things are good, they're bad. They are constantly fighting each other. So what Nero does is he brings one of his best generals out of retirement, Vespasian. Vespasian's an interesting fellow. Can't go too deep in it today. He's going to give you a little bit. Totally uncharismatic guy, but a really great soldier, former leader of the Roman legions in Britain. But he had basically been hiding out in retirement because he made the mistake of falling asleep during one of Nero's boring concerts of poetry and singing. Nero thought he was a great artiste, and he fell asleep. So he was hiding out in the country. But Nero wants somebody that can actually do something with these crazy Jews who are killing each other and causing nothing but problems down there. So he brings Vespasian out of retirement and basically gives him this mandate: fix it. Get that area under control. So Vespasian goes into Judea, and he does something very smart from a tactical point of view, which you would expect a good general to do. He says, look, I know the troubles in Jerusalem with these zealots and these moderates. They're nuts. They're crazy. They hate us. They hate each other. This is intolerable. But rather than going to Jerusalem and like biting the head off the snake, he decides to take the low-hanging fruit. So he centers himself in Caesarea, and he just knocks off all the little villages and all the surrounding countryside. He says, why fight people who will fight tooth and nail to the last person to defend the center of their identity? So he didn't attack Jerusalem. He basically had a siege mentality where I'm just going to take the surrounding countryside, and sooner or later we'll get to Jerusalem. We'll control everything going in and out of Jerusalem. So he avoided a direct confrontation with the lunatic behavior in Jerusalem. That has its pros and cons. It allows the lunatic behavior to continue. Interestingly, in the Talmud, one of the reasons that the rabbis gave for the upcoming destruction of Jerusalem was this very time period, that the murdering of Jew upon Jew, the warfare is too strong. What's the word? Just constant violent actions towards one another resulting in murder and death. One of the reasons that the temple was ultimately destroyed, for the irrational hatred, the useless and causeless hatred that the Jews had for each other, was an integral, instrumental reason why the temple was destroyed. Violence among themselves, not Rome, was the reason for the destruction of the temple. And when you think of the kind of hate, hostility, and everything, we're more sophisticated in our world. We just hate each other. But Jesus said hate and murder are the same. So no, we're not filling the streets with blood, but 30 to 40,000 Christian Protestant denominations, the vitriol on Facebook, the vitriol, the hatred towards one another if you disagree on a minor point of doctrine is epidemic. It's everywhere. It's the normal mode. And we're right and you're wrong. It's the exact same climate as it was in 66 or 67 AD. So Vespasian doesn't really, he's too big. What happens is Nero gets killed. And because Vespasian was a beloved military leader, basically the legions made him emperor. So now Vespasian has other things to worry about, and he's going to hand off the Jerusalem assignment to his son, Titus. And we'll get to that the next time.